Welcome back to the CryptoBot channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin dominance is on the rise, while Ethereum is getting extremely close to completing this bearish head and shoulders pattern. So later in this video, I'll be sharing the technical price targets for this pattern. Definitely watch to the end. First of all, just giving you a quick update here on the daily Bitcoin chart. Right now, the price of Bitcoin is retesting this 78.6% Fibonacci level, which is sitting at approximately 22.7k. And like I said in my last video on this channel, even though we have 1 to 2 daily candle closes above this 78.6% Fibonacci level of resistance, considering the fact that they're only slightly above this resistance and we're still currently in the retest phase, we still need to see a little bit more confirmation here for a potential breakout. And so basically, in order to confirm this breakout, the price of Bitcoin really needs to hold around 22.6 to 22.7k as new support. And if that happens, if we see a further bounce from that level, then it's likely this bullish trend could continue up towards this next area of resistance closer towards 25k. But at least for now, this 78.6% Fibonacci level at approximately 22.7k is the main focus in the shorter term. And once again, in terms of the trend, we are still technically in a bullish trend because we're seeing higher lows and higher highs still actively form. But like I've been warning about for over a week now on this channel, it's extremely likely we're going to continue to see a bearish divergence form here on the daily Bitcoin chart, while the price obviously makes higher highs and the RSI makes lower highs. But at least as of right now, this bearish divergence on the daily time frame is not yet confirmed, and it is important to understand that these bearish divergences on the daily chart can even form over multiple weeks, sometimes even up to a month before they begin to play out. And so far, since the beginning of the formation phase for this bearish divergence on the daily time frame, it's currently been forming for around 1 to 2 weeks already, which means it could potentially continue to form over the next 1 to 2 weeks before eventually, soon enough, it begins to play out in perhaps more of a correction in the price of Bitcoin. But at least for now, once again, in terms of the trend, we are technically still more bullish than bearish. And now taking a look at the 8-hour Bitcoin chart, and obviously you can see that we still have an active bearish divergence here on the 8-hour chart, which is also visible on the 6-hour time frame as well. And like I've explained in my last few videos, this really only gets invalidated once we start to see a breakout in the RSI above this descending line of resistance, because while the RSI is still trending to the downside like this on the 8-hour time frame, that is technically a sign of weakness, at least in the shorter term, which means reduced bullish momentum in the shorter term. And usually this plays out either in the form of choppy sideways price action or a slight pullback. And so essentially, just in the shorter term, while this bearish divergence continues to play out, once again, I continue to expect mostly choppy sideways price action, maybe a slight pullback. And while the price of Bitcoin is taking this short-term pause from the bullish trend, if you zoom into the 3-hour time frame, this is translating into a bull flag pattern. And right now, the resistance for this bull flag is sitting at approximately 23.1 to 23.2k, more specifically around 23,160. And as for support, we do have this support level at around 22.4k approximately. And now if the price of Bitcoin confirms a break below that level of support at 22.4k, then we could end up seeing a drop down towards around 21,000, because if you're looking at the volume profile indicator here on the 3-hour time frame, most of this support right here is sitting at around 21,000, with the support really starting at around 21.3 to 21.4k. So basically, if we see a confirmed break below 22.4k, then it's likely we could see a $1,000 drop in the price of Bitcoin in the shorter term. But obviously, as I've said over the last few days, if we end up seeing a confirmed break above above this resistance at around 23.2k, then that sets up a technical price target for this bull flag pattern at approximately $25,000 per Bitcoin, which is very close to this resistance just here. And now, if you're taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the weekly time frame, we are still currently in a shorter term bullish trend in the Bitcoin dominance, which means at least as of right now, the price of Bitcoin is performing better than the average altcoin. So the majority of the altcoin market is actually underperforming against Bitcoin. Now, obviously, that does not mean every single altcoin. For example, there can be some outliers where some altcoins perform better than Bitcoin, but just on average, the overall altcoin market on average is doing slightly worse than Bitcoin right now, because obviously the Bitcoin dominance is reclaiming market share for Bitcoin. And if history was simply to repeat like what we've seen since around the middle of 2021, where we usually see a rise in Bitcoin dominance up towards this area of resistance after we see a bounce from this area of support, as we have seen recently, then if this were to simply repeat, the Bitcoin dominance could continue up towards around 48% approximately before we start running into some heavy resistance. And right now it's sitting at roughly around 44.5%. And now that might not seem like a massive gain in the Bitcoin dominance. It's only a few percentage points, but that works out to be billions of dollars when you're talking about $1 trillion crypto market, which means simply according to the last 1.5 years worth of price history, it's likely that the Bitcoin price will continue to outperform the majority of the altcoin market, potentially in the coming weeks, maybe over the next 1 month or so. Because remember, this chart right here is on the weekly time frame, so each one of these candles is an entire week. And with the Bitcoin dominance on the rise, technically this is not as good for the price of ETH, because here on the daily time frame we can obviously see that the price of ETH has had a bit more of a rejection compared to the price of Bitcoin on the daily time frame, which has been basically trading sideways for close to a week. But anyway, here on the daily ETH to US dollar chart, technically speaking, the trend as of right now is still a bullish trend, because the price is still actively forming higher lows and higher highs, at least as of right now. But we still have that strong resistance at around 1650 to 1.7k. And like I've been saying over the last 1 to 2 weeks, it's still extremely likely we're going to continue to form a bearish divergence here on the daily ETH chart, which simply means within the next 1 to 2 weeks or so, expect perhaps a larger pause from this bullish trend once this bearish divergence finally starts taking effect on the price of ETH. And as for support levels on the daily time frame, these have not changed since my last video on this channel. So if you're new to this channel and you want to know all of these levels of support, then check out my last video that I posted yesterday. And now if you zoom into the 8-hour time frame, once again, we are still seeing an active bearish divergence here on the 8-hour chart play out for the price of ETH. And like I've also said over the last few days, this only really gets invalidated once we start to see a confirmed breakout in the RSI above this descending line of resistance. And considering that has not yet happened, technically this bearish divergence is still affecting the price of ETH in the somewhat shorter term, which means don't really expect a lot of bullish momentum for the price of ETH in the shorter term. And instead, we should be expecting mostly choppy sideways price action, if not a slight pullback in the price of ETH here in the shorter term, which is obviously exactly what we have been seeing since this bearish divergence confirmed quite a few days ago. And now, unlike the price of Bitcoin in the shorter term, there is another potential risk for the price of ETH in the short term that we're seeing here on the 4-hour time frame, which is a possible head and shoulders pattern forming right now, as I've talked about over the last few days. But right now, the price is getting a lot closer to potentially completing this pattern, because when I first covered this pattern on this channel, the price was right back here before we even saw this short-term bounce. And obviously, since then, the price has formed most of what we can see as a right shoulder now, and has already confirmed a left shoulder and a head. So all that's left to complete this pattern is a continued drop in the short term down towards around 1.5k, more specifically around 1510. And basically, if we end up seeing a continued short-term drop over the next 1 to 2 days or so, and then see a confirmed break below around 1510, which is the neckline, then that would could confirm this head and shoulders pattern and activate a technical price target to the downside. And speaking of the technical price target for this pattern, if we do end up seeing a confirmed break below that neckline, then that sets up a technical price target at around 1370 approximately, so just below 1.4k, which means if we end up seeing a short-term drop down below 1.5k with confirmation, then we could end up seeing a further 9% drop in the price of ETH in the somewhat shorter term here, simply based on this head and shoulders pattern. But once again, this technical price target only activates, it only actually confirms if we end up seeing a confirmed break below this neckline after completing the right shoulder once again. And now, if you want to know how to maximize your profits in crypto, no matter if the price is going to the downside, to the upside, or simply chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left of your screen shows you how to make money if the price is either bullish or bearish, and the video in the bottom left shows you how to make money if the price is chopping around sideways. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.